In the Special Victims Unit, sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous. In New York City, dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious felonies are members of an elite squad known as the Special Victims Unit. These are their stories.
Hi, my name is Latonya and I will be speaking on the career as a forensic science technician. What is a forensic science technician? To be honest, I wasn't quite sure on what it was, but at least I knew what forensic science was. You see, I thought being a forensic science technician was the same as a forensic scientist, but they're actually not the same. A forensic science technician is a member of the team that investigates crimes. This person gathers and documents or even analyzes physical evidence from crime scenes. So the evidence found on the scene may be fingerprints, blood, hair, bullets, or even footprints. As I was younger, the days my family would stay at home and do nothing, we would watch a crime show called The First 48. So The First 48, it was about a show that would have crimes and homicides within the city, and the police department would have to try and solve the murders within 48 hours, and if they couldn't, they'd either have to shut down the investigation or just leave the whole crime scene altogether and make it a cold case. As I began high school, I started to think about what I wanted to do with my life as my future career. I was already watching a lot of crime shows and mysterious thrillers that always had a murder involved. And if there was not any dramatic irony involved in it, somehow I always knew what would happen. They were so cool and intriguing. Law and Order SVU, How to Get Away with Murder, Scandal, it's all just so interesting to me. I watch the news very often, and every morning I would either wake up to a car accident or homicides within the city. Most times it's sad news, but other times they're unable to come up with a conclusion. So at home, I decided to place my input or theory at my house, so I wasn't actually giving my input to the police, as it's not my place to do so. But as I would do that, I would come with the ideas of, okay, who was here? Okay, does this make sense? Like, I would do that to kind of ease my mind. So forensic science comes with multiple theories, and sometimes there are even conspiracy theories, which I love, but we'll save that for another topic. But that's a different topic anyways. So I read unsolved deaths at night or whenever I have the time to do so. And theories allow for me to stimulate my mind, allowing for me to expand my critical thinking and my analysis. This led to me wanting to become a forensic science technician. I personally picked my favorite 4 unsolved deaths that I want to share with you guys, and I will connect them to the following books: Hamlet, Oedipus, The Great Gatsby, and The Importance of Being Earnest. I'll also be connecting them to 2 literary theories. 1, which is psychoanalytic, and 2, which is Marxism. Other criticisms may appear, but it will be for that case study specifically. So on to our first case study. The first case study is of a famous Canadian painter named Tom Thomson. Tom was last seen setting out on a fishing trip in a canoe on July 8, 1917. His body was found floating in Canoe Lake 8 days later on July 16th. So there was 2 unusual aspects of his body that led to the idea that might have never fell overboard. There was a piece of fishing line wrapped around his ankle, his left one especially, 16 times, and also a wound to his head. There are 4 theories of what might have caused his death. The first theory is that he died because of accidental drowning. But if he drowned, why would the fishing line be wrapped around his ankle 16 times? Was it floating debris from a nearby logging operation? Or was he hit by a sudden tornado? The second theory was that he received a blow to his head from a paddle, causing the wound on his head to appear. But what would cause the paddle to hit him on his forehead? The third theory is that he had committed suicide. Some people believe that he purposely drowned himself using the fishing line as weight. The last theory, also known as the fourth theory, is that he was actually murdered by the American draft dodgers who hoped to stay anonymous and poachers that would go to great lengths to hide their activities. People believe that no one would like for anyone, especially Tom, to see them and what they do, so they killed them. The literary theory that can be applied to this case study is eco-criticism and psychoanalytic. So as he is on Canoe Lake, the lake represents both calm and fierce. Sometimes there are calm waves, and other times there are very fierce waves. Being on the calm waters means to just relax and enjoy a nice day. But that's not the case here. It's where the fierceness comes in. In his atmosphere, there was something that was fierce, causing him to be found in the lake, dead. So if Tom Thompson actually did commit suicide, what pushed him over the edge? Why did he choose Canoe Lake to do so, to go fishing or to commit suicide? These are the reasons why we're not sure why he did what he did, but it at least gives us an insight of what has happened, even though it wasn't as clear as we had hoped. Our second case study is the Blazing Car murder. In the 1930s, Alfred Roos attempted to fake his own death by hitting a random man on his head with a mallet and then burning his body in a car. He wasn't successful as someone caught him trying to flee the scene, making him hanged for the crime. For the longest while, the identity of the victim was unknown, and for a very long time, people believed the body of the victim belonged to William Thomas Briggs. Briggs went missing around the time of the murder as he was going to a doctor's appointment. In 2014, to settle the murder, William Briggs' family decided to do a DNA test to state that it is Briggs' body, and the DNA results came back negative. As the body was not Briggs, another unsolved crime arose. This was a very major problem. The problem was, if it wasn't Briggs' body, where did he go? Who was the victim that Roos killed to attempt to frame his death? The book that I had found similarities to this case study was Oedipus. In Oedipus, as he left his family that adopted him to escape the prophecy that he would kill his father and end up marrying his mother, he left and ended up killing his real father and marrying his mother, even though he did not have a clue that he killed his father or married his mother. As the death of his father arises while Oedipus is king, he vows that he does not know where he went, and he also didn't make the connection that he killed a man. This case study is similar to the Greek play because before Oedipus realized that it was him who had killed his father's murderer was a mystery. Just as the mystery of where William Briggs went and who was the victim that was placed in the burning car is as well. So the literary theory that ties in with the case study is psychoanalytic criticism once again. It was unclear as to why Alfred Roos would want to fake his death on his end. There must have been something deeply affecting his life and mentality that will cause him to kill someone just to fake his death and go off the radar. Our third case study takes place in Paris. A lady named Letitia Thoreau. May 1937 at 6:27 p.m., she boarded a train at Porte de la Chanton station and was the only person that was in the first-class carriage. 3 stations later, they found Thoreau with a dagger protruding from her neck as she was slumped forward. Police claimed that she lived a very unusual life. By day, she worked in a glue factory, but by night, she was frequently at seedy clubs and worked as a surveillance and message delivery specialist for a private detective agency. Because at night she worked at such a top-secret job, it led her to becoming a paid informant for the Parisian police. While she was being a paid informant, she was having an affair with Gabriel Janton, who was a journalist and also an arms dealer and smuggler for the most powerful underground organization in Paris at the time. The most powerful underground organization at the time was a terrorist group called Comité Secret d'Action Révolutionnaire. The group was funded by the city's social and financial elite and were responsible for 7 confirmed murders, 2 bombings, and the formation of a militia. There were 3 theories on what had happened for her to be found with a dagger sticking from her neck. So the first theory was that people claimed that she had been murdered by the chief assassin, as her job made her know too much about the secrets of Paris. The second theory was that she was killed because she had known too much about a plot involving Mussolini that she wasn't supposed to be aware of. The third theory is that she probably believed that what she knows is too much and she can't handle having to live her life in private to save herself, so the easiest thing for her to do was to kill herself, as she was the only person present in the carriage. The book that shows characteristics in this case is the play by William Shakespeare called Hamlet. King Hamlet was murdered by his brother Claudius for power. To kill King Hamlet, Claudius poured poison into his brother's ears while he was sleeping, and it was done in isolation. To take power away from King Claudius, Hamlet knew what his uncle, also known as his stepfather, did, so he indirectly dies from the hands of Prince Hamlet. It relates to the case study of Letitia Toro, because by Letitia knowing any information, whether it may be small or big, it places a lot of power into her hands, as she has the ability to blackmail whoever she pleases for whatever she wants. The person who had murdered her wanted to get rid of the power that she held within her hands, and by doing this, nobody had anything to worry about regarding the private information. The literary theory that is shown dominantly is Marxism. Marxism has to mostly deal with the level of class shown in society. In Hamlet, to be king was the highest position in Denmark, as the whole country bows down to your wants and needs. For Letitia Toro, sometimes the person with a low social class has the most power. In this case, she had a lot of power just by being a paid informant, as she knew information that could destroy a nation. The last case study is about a woman named Gloria Ramirez, who's admitted to Riverside General Hospital on February 19, 1994. She was admitted with the symptoms of nausea, difficulty breathing, and an increased heart rate. As she entered, her body was covered in an oily sheen with a fruit garlicky smell, which threw a lot of nurses and emergency staff off guard. A nurse that had taken care of her, named Susan Kane, drew blood from Ramirez, and in the blood she had seen a strange color called manila, which is the color of a brown envelope, if you didn't know, that has been floating in her blood, and also noticed that her blood had a chemical odor. After the nurse drew blood from Gloria, she fainted and had to be rushed away, allowing for a domino effect to occur with the majority of the staff. The domino effect also had staff experiencing fainting, lightheadedness, and apnea, which is irregular breathing, while feeling sick. Because of this alarming rate of staff feeling faint, the hospital had to declare an internal emergency, making the rest of the patients being evacuated out of the hospital into the parking lot. Julie, who was a medical resident who was near Gloria at the time she was admitted, making Julie becoming the second person to be fallen ill. So by Julie falling ill, it had led for her to be into intensive care, a vascular necrosis, and she had to use crutches for months. At 8:50 p.m. the same day, Gloria was pronounced dead, and the body was moved into isolation so her body couldn't do any more harm to anyone else. One of the staff that was moving Gloria's dead body was Sally Balderan, who started to vomit and was also feeling a burning sensation throughout her body, making her hospitalized for 10 days. Out of 37 staff working at the emergency room, 23 of them were not feeling well, so that is over half of the staff. So there are three theories that goes with this case study. The first theory is that they concluded that the staff were experiencing mass hysteria as they interviewed 34 emergency room staff. The second theory was that there was a chemical reaction that had caused the mysterious sickness, and the chemicals was DMSO, which is dimethylsulfone. The third theory was that the hospital itself caused the sickness present, as there might have been exposure to poisonous gas through a gas leak. My theory is that there was a negative energy of spirit that managed to take over Ramirez's body and spread what she had to the other emergency staff members. So the book that relates to Gloria Ramirez's story is Hamlet. In Hamlet, one of the important characters, which is the ghost of King Hamlet, Hamlet's father, was telling Hamlet of his death and what caused it. And it gave Hamlet an idea of what had happened, but at the same time, Hamlet wasn't sure if he was just hallucinating or if that was really the ghost of his father. In the case study, some people believe that it was a spirit similar to Hamlet's father, but instead of bringing good, it brought bad vibes and made a lot of people to fall ill. In society, being a forensic science technician looks very fascinating, but is also frowned upon some people. So to explain what that means is that in TV shows they depict it as being a very nice job, as you get to experience crime scenes, knowing people, their family, everything. But the reason why it's also frowned upon some people is the people who commit the crime. They don't want to be found out of what they've done, so they do not like the job. In conclusion, the job of a forensic science technician is a very interesting job, as they get the ability to investigate crimes by analyzing physical evidence, but this job also comes with the ability to solve mysteries similar to books. For example, the importance of being earnest, as Jack was unaware of who his real family is, as he was abandoned at a train station in the coat room. So later on in the book, Jack was able to flip through some books, and by that he was able to find out who his true family was. And that's practically the job of a forensic science technician, but instead they solve what has happened through crimes. And that's the end of